All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to our Monday night Moshiach Matters class, where we delve into all the matters of Mashiach and Geula and prepare ourselves for the imminent, full, and final redemption, which we are moments away from, as the entire world is trembling right now. You can see big things are happening in the world, and everything is signs of the redemption. And there's nothing in this world that has not been predicted by our sages thousands of years ago. So we're ready to roll. And hold on a second, I'm just fixing something here on the desk. And as the Rebbe says, the best way to prepare for Mashiach and to live with Mashiach is to learn about Mashiach, which is what we're doing here and what we do every single week. So let's hop right in. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nהיה b'dvaro. Okay, got all my stuff here. Here we go. We're in Parshas Hukat. Let me just get an idea. I think this is a short sikha, if I'm not mistaken. No, not necessarily. Well, not too long. Okay. Yom ze klal yemei hashana b'luach hayehudi Torani morachav mishne mininim hayom hashavua hayom hachodesh. So we say every day of the Hebrew calendar, it's connected to two types of energies. One, what day of the week it is, and secondly, what day of the month it is. Hayom hu yom hashvi'i b'shavua, yom hashvi'i v'yom ha'esret b'chodesh. It is on the day the Rebbe gave the Sikha. It is the 7th day of the week, meaning Shabbat, and it is also the 10th day of the month. So it was the 10th of Tammuz, and on Shabbat being the 7th day of the week. Mishnei ininim elu yemei hashavua v'yemei hachodesh v'chashvim al pi shnei hashavuos shonim mukvim es haluach hatoroni. And these 2 days, the days of the week and the days of the month, are calculating according to two matters. The movement of the sun, which determines the day of the week, and the movement of the moon, which is determined by the day of the month. And all the matters of the Torah, specifically, nothing, God forbid, that takes place in the Torah is a coincidence. Rather, everything is precise according to the will of God. And everything that is hishkacha pratis, that is determined by God, is connected and reflects the way God conducts the world. And therefore, every single thing we experience, especially what we're talking about now, the specific day of the month and week we find ourselves in, is connected to our avodas Hashem, or divine service. And similarly, we can understand also the connection to this day, the day of the week, which is the 7th day of the week, meaning on Shabbos, and also the day of the month, which is the 10th day of the month. We can learn something out connected to our divine service from these matters. Okay, the each day represents us, each number represents an energy in and of itself, and combined together, they represent something even bigger. Nasim Dvar Echad. Kivan sheyoim zehu Shabbat Parshas Hukas, and it was the 7th day of the week, which is Shabbat, and we are now in Parshas Hukat. Yom Chodesh Tammuz, in the month of Tammuz. Harizem Morash Yesh Lezeh Shaychos im haparsha im hachodesh. V'gam shaychos im hayamim hamavarachim b'Shabbat zu. Okay, and on top of it, this Shabbos that the Rebbe gave the Sikha was the Shabbos that blesses Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz. Haga Geula Kover Kadosh Mor Rahabmi. Beis Sheva Eser B'Tammuz. The Shabbos that blesses the day of redemption of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and also the day of the 17th of Tammuz, which is not such a festival day. It's a fast day, and it's a day that begins the onset of what are known as the 3 weeks. Traditionally not the greatest of times for the Jewish people, but our Rebbe has already flipped that on his head, and we'll talk about that further next go around. Base. Oh, sorry. וגם בעיקר השייכות עם הגבול המצווה שלם, הנה הכי עיקר שהזמן גרמה, ודובר רבים בפרט לאחרונה. And specifically, the Rebbe says how all these matters apply to the most important matter, which is the true and complete redemption. Base. חילוק הכללי בין ימי השבוע וימי החודש הוא שווה שימי השבוע אינם תלוי במעשה האדם, אלא הם נקבעים למעלה. The 7 days of the week have nothing to do with us or our divine service. They're determined by God from above. They go according to the 7 days of creation, which of course were determined by Hashem himself. And we know that 7th day is a holy day, the day of Shabbat, holiest day of the year, Shabbat. Shabbos b'kadesh b'kiyamu. It's a day of sanctification to God. Masha'en came based in Yisrael shekarasa lizmanim chodesh tel noim b'kavua. Based in, this is not the case with the days of the month, which are set out by the based in below, the earthly court, if you will, that determines the days of the month. Yisrael dekashal Rosh Chodesh, that we have to determine based on the moon when is Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month, and henceforth determines how many days the upcoming month will pertain, whether there will be 29 or 30 days, based on the Hebrew calendar. Kafisha who gam b'pashtus enini sheva shemei habereshis hey u miyad b'tchila haberia. Masha'en came kiddush chodesh. That the 7 days of creation, there are immediately and from the beginning of creation set up by God. This is not the case with the sanctification of the month and the moon. This was determined and the first mitzvah to the Jewish people to keep the months and to keep the Rosh Chodesh and to determine the days of the month. The Rishayna B'Yetzias Mitzrayim was the first mitzvah that was given to us as a nation as we went out from Egypt. And in this is the beginning of the service of the Jewish people, of their service of Torah and mitzvot that are above from creation. And these matters as they are spiritual. I'll say that the days of the week are referring to the order that was set up by God when he started the world. That God created the world and set it up in 7 days. But the days of the week or the days of the month, are something that came after and were added on. And they are connected to our service below. As our rabbis say, God created the world incomplete, if you will, and appointed us to be his partners to bring about the completion of creation. And we see in the future to come, in the true and complete redemption, there will be a new heaven and a new earth that will sprout forth from God. Meaning the offspring of Moshiach will bring forth a new Seder in creation, What that's going to be like, we have yet to see, and hopefully we'll find out very soon. And these have connections to the two ways of serving God. The level of godly energy that is enclosed within the creation, that's connected to the 7 days of the week. And the level of godly energy that is above the creation, which is referring to the days of the month. Gimel. יש לומר שזה המשתקף מיוחד חילוק בין יום השביעי ויום העשירי, שני עניינים דיום זה. And there is to say, and we can reflect on the unique difference between the 7th day of the week and the 10th day of the month, and how these matters are connected to our divine service. Shavia mora'ah shlemas ha'ikaf ha'briya sheva shemei ha'breshi sheva shemei ha'chaykef. We know that we have 7 divine attributes inside of us, our emotional attributes. And those are the 7 divine attributes God used to create the world. Connected to the 7 days. This is a level of godly energy that is enclosed within the world, if you will. The natural sequence of the world. But the number 10 is connected to a level of godly energy that is above from the worlds. Esser spheros, the 10 spherots. Now they include the 3 intellectual attributes known as the mochin, otherwise known as chabad, chokhmah, bina, and das, that is connected to a godly energy above the world. And the revealing of the level of 10 is something contingent upon our service by drawing down additional energy into the world from our 3 intellectual attributes. And in such a way that this brings about a completion and revealing of the number 10. In addition to the normal 7 emotional attributes in the world, we're adding on the 3 mochim, which we said is chokhmah, bina, and das, or wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Avodas Adam, and how does this connect to our service? Al kasuv is written, Al titzar es muav, mavor chasidus, shezman hazeh nitna le'bnei Yisrael ha'sheva ha'artzos. And according to Chassidut, we learn that currently God has given us the 7 lands of Israel, connected to the 7 emotional attributes. And the idea is to rectify and refine these 7 emotional attributes. But in the true and complete redemption, we will have all 10 of the lands, include the final 3 lands of Kini, Kanizi, Vakadmoni. And that is connected to our service in God, that will be reaching its total completion. And then we will have the service of the mochin, of the intellect, la'atzmo, in and of itself. We will reach an extremely high level of comprehension of godliness that has never been revealed in this world before. Okay, now we're going to talk about 2 levels connected to these numbers. The written Torah, it says that the world was created in 7 days. And on the 7th day, God completed his work and he rested. And the oral Torah talks about that God created the world in 10 utterances. And we see the difference between the oral Torah and the written Torah. We can get a framework for the difference in the number 7 and the number 10 as it's connected to our service in this world. Oh, that was good. Team. Torah Shabbat Peh, the oral Torah. This came above from God. Lo shach sha'adam yosiv ba chas v'shalom, and is not fitting whatsoever for us to add or change or do anything to the written Torah. Mitzad daragazu ha'hamshacha selokus milamayla. Shleimus habrihu ba'ofen da'ashiva'ah. And this is a level that is drawing down godliness from above to complete the creation in the number 7. And through the written Torah, we are given the power to rectify our 7 emotional attributes. To reveal the level of godliness as it is connected to the boundaries of this physical world. But the written Torah, the oral Torah, this is revealing through the service of the power of the Yidden and the wise leaders throughout the continuation of our generations. Dinim upratim b'hatiriag mitzvahs. V'lochein hargasha gam sham be'asera mamaymas nivar oidam. Besad avodas hamata b'torah b'oidam ro'im b'chabriya m'chinas asar. And this is connected to the 10 sayings that God used to create the world, and that energy as it's manifesting into the world. And all of these things are here for what we call as a tikkun, meaning for our work in the world to help God complete the world. Not that God needs anything, but that's the way he set it up. He set it up as a building that was still missing the plumbing, the wiring, the electrical, the details. And through our work here below in keeping Torah and mitzvot, we are now contributing to and refining and completing the divine service in the world, which we've been told by our Rebbe it's already done. And now it's just a matter of putting on the final door, as they say, to prepare for Moshiach's arrival, which is imminent. Hold on, where I go. The Poa Chaisba because Shabriya to add on and bring out the completion of creation. And then we will be able to reveal through the number 10 the ultimate completion in the service in this world. The Shlemos the Ela told us parents, and this will be manifested when Mashiach comes. Hey, and the 2 numbers 10 and 7, each one has something the other one doesn't. The advantage of the number 7 is this is a completion of the number. Number 7 represents a completion, that just like God created the world in 7 days, this shows right from the beginning that God set things up in a good way in a state of completion through the number 7. And therefore the creation itself, the physicality of the world, is manifested with these 7 levels of energy. Again, right? That's why there's 7 days of the week. And everything is set up in the world in a state of completion, if you will, in the physical world. The advantage of the number 7 is it's the way to reveal godly energy that is above from what we call the normal course of nature. The number 10 is holy. Now this is the Gamri. So just to give you a little bit of a background, there's different kind of energy that God brings into the world. There's what we call Soviv Kolamim and Mamade Kolamim, which is surrounding energy and encompassing an energy or internal energy. So God creates just enough energy to keep the world in a state of existence. That's connected to the number 7. Meaning, God made a covenant with us that he will keep the world in existence and it will not destroy the world. So all of these morons out there spending hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to fight climate control and save the planet, it's all utter nonsense. People need to spend more attention to how they're acting as human beings, how they're treating one another. And you see people that have rabid hate for one another because of their political views, but they'll dedicate their whole life to getting rid of plastic straws. Absolute geniuses. Because guess what? God says, I will never destroy the world again. In other words, he brought destruction to the world in the time of Noah. He put a giant mavul, a giant mikveh in the world to purify it, and said, I won't destroy the world again. So we don't have to worry. God has the world under control. What we need to worry about is ourselves and the way we treat one another. And that's connected to the number 10. The number 10 is how we go about drawing additional godly energy into the world to help bring about redemption in our lives and the world around us. And that's through fulfilling God's will and keeping Torah and mitzvot. That's how we're drawing down that what we call the mochin, the chokhmah, bina, and das, the intellectual attributes of God that are above the world into the world. So every time we say a blessing before we eat something, every time we put on tefillin, we keep Shabbat, every time we learn Torah, every time we daven, every time we do a good deed, we're drawing down additional godly energy into the world that didn't exist before. It's an amazing concept. We learned about it at length last week's class. So that's the number 10. That is how we add on additional energy into the world, beyond what is necessary to sustain the world, but to bring the world to a state of completion. But the number 7 also is connected to holiness. The number 7 is connected to this holy level of completion from above, from God, so to speak. And the number 10 is connected to this holy level of completion from our work here down below. Okay. And according to this, we can understand the importance of this day, the 17th. Yom Hashvi b'Shavua v'Yom Ha'esri b'Chodesh, the 7th day of the week and the 10th day of the month. That combines both of the advantages that we spoke about above. Gavo v'Bli Gvo. Boundaries or natural course of the order, which is 7, connected to the 7 days of the week. And the number 10, which is what we call Bli Gvo, which is above the normal courses and boundaries of creation, bringing an additional level of holiness into the world. And unifying both of these energies together. To draw down, and this is a concept we speak about a lot in these classes, to draw down a new level of godly energy that never existed previously in the world, down into this physical world. And we see this in the number 17. 17 is Gematria Tov. 10 plus 7 is 17. That's the Hebrew Gematria for Tov. Tov means good. A good that is not connected to any descriptions or reasons. Just what we call as pure good in and of itself. It's good from above and good from below. And it's good right off the bat. In other words, without any additional preparations, if you will. As is connected to the creation of the world, God saw that it was good. As called Asar, and he said it was very good. Connected to the service of man. And this is talking about the goodness that is in this world, the number 7, and goodness that is drawn down from above the world, in the number 10. Vav. And we see this as it's connected to the 17th of Tammuz. It also falls out on Shabbos. Sheva eserahu b'gematria toiv. As we said already, 17 is the gematria of good, toiv. Kivan sheheshleimus hatoiv hu ka'asher yishna gam b'gilui hatoiv hapenimi toiv b'li gvul u'masater b'gilui ayre avodas hadam. This is bringing out what we call eternal good through our work here down below. Kiyadua sheyoin ta'anias b'penimias yom ratzon Hashem. And those, the 17th of Tammuz is a fast day. It's the day that the walls of Jerusalem were breached, and it was the beginning of the process, Shemarachamim, of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. It's a day of mourning, if you will. But the Rebbe explains an important point. A fast day is likened to what we call, it's called a Yom HaRatzain, a day of desire for God. It's not a day that we're supposed to sit around and look at the clock and count down the hours until we could eat again, although that's what most people do. It's a day that's connected to tshuva, to getting into the inner dimension of what this day is about, why God brought it about in the first place, and what it is that we can do on an individual level to reach higher levels in our avodas Hashem. So the Rebbe says the inner dimension of every fast day is good. All because the inner dimension is something that is connected to only good. There's no evil in the pure essence of everything in this world is good. It's only the way it manifests in this world that takes on the appearance at times of the opposite of good. But in the inner dimension is good. Confusion is and how do we know this? In the true and complete redemption, when Moshiach comes, every fast day will be transformed to a Yom Tov, to a holiday, a day of sason v'simcha, of joy and happiness. Shana amar koi amar Hashem sevot soim haravi'im. Here the base Yehudis lasason v'simcha the oindim toivim. Because the inner dimension of that, what appears to be bad from a fast day, will be revealed, and it will bring revealed goodness in every capacity. So the fast days will be transformed. It's not that they'll be nullified and they'll go away. They'll be transformed to days of great joy. And in that particular year, when the Rebbe gave the Sikha, it just so happened that the 17th of Tammuz happened to fall in Shabbat, the 7th day with the 10th day of the month, as we've been talking about. And what's interesting to know is and therefore you don't fast. When the 17th of Tammuz falls, only when Yom Kippur comes on Shabbat, you still fast and Shabbat is pushed off. But then because Yom Kippur is a fast from Midiyaisa, from the Torah. But all the rabbinical fast days, like a Tisha B'Av, can never fall on Shabbat. But all the rabbinical fast days, if they do fall on Shabbat, Shabbat pushes them off because we don't fast on Shabbat. You're not allowed to have any type of mourning or sadness on Shabbat. And in that particular year, since the 17th of Tammuz fell on Shabbat, there was no fasting, and therefore it's a mitzvah. The Rebbe says to increase in the pleasure we have from eating and drinking on Shabbat. Because Shabbat is a day of pleasure, of joy. But and then the negative aspect of the fast, the fasting itself, is pushed off. There is to say that the 17th of Tammuz, the fact that it fell on Shabbat, has a unique advantage. It's a completion of good from above, which is on Shabbos, the number 7. And a completion of good from below, connected to us down here, the number 10. 10 again, and 7 is the 17th. שבתורה ישנה שני נינים, 7 ימי בראשית, וזכור שבכסוף, ו20 ממש נברא אדם בשבת תורה שבעל פה. Okay. And the simple reason why we don't fast on Shabbat is as follows. Second, I gotta just do a time check here. Okay, I think we'll be done a little bit early this evening. As we just said a moment ago, that Shabbat is from Midrash, from the Torah, and the fast days are not. They're from the rabbinical decree, and therefore it's pushed off. Well, it's exactly what I just finished saying. That Yom Kippur, since it comes from the Torah, is the only day that actually pushes off the Shabbat. And now we can see how this relates to the difference between the written Torah and the oral Torah. Torah chesed, ein inyan atanayas. The Torah is a kindness from God, and therefore there's no strict fast days in the Torah. Yom Kippur is not a fast, God forbid, for any types. Every other fast we did is based on some sort of need to do tshuva, some sort of thing that is fixed up from some sort of negative event that took place in this world. Yom Kippur is connected directly to us being like angels and being forgiven for our sins. And therefore we are at a state of oneness with God. And it's not due to any negative aspect whatsoever. In fact, Yom Kippur is known as a day of a Yom Tov, a festival day. Oh, I'm looking for my place. Yeah. Zoyta meretz to say min ha'toira kafisha oidam hu mitzad l'mayla hari hu milui v'hashlemosay ve'ein sham inyan b'liti ritzoy shetzrichai aliyah tanias. So we just finished saying. This is not the case with the oral Torah and the fast Torah administered through the rabbis. Psukim es halachas al pi arachas mitzara odem before the mata. Hari kivan shemar odem the mata. Yochol lehi yosirida aidech heta. Rachmani litzon, because down here where's the capacity for sin? Shem should protect us. And therefore we are empowered to do tshuva, to return to God. And this is connected to our service below. This just a brief comment, because I was breaking with someone about this the other day. People look at someone who is involved in matters of tshuva, like myself, like Dove over here, like a lot of what we call Baal Tshuvas in the world, where there's someone who previously was not in an open way serving God as an observant Jew, and then returns to serving God later on in life. But the fact of the matter is, every one of us is a Baal Tshuva. Every one of us needs to do tshuva, because if you're not a tzaddik, well, then you're a Baal Tshuva. That means that tshuva is the real reason why we're all stuck, because tshuva isn't a one-time event. You literally need to do tshuva every day of your life. The Alter Rebbe says in the Tanya, we need to be master of accounts. Ideally, at the end of the night, we take some time and think about our day and think about maybe things we didn't say properly, we didn't act properly, mitzvahs we may have missed out on things we may have done improperly, whatever it may be, and ask God for forgiveness. We do that on a miniature level, on a microcosm daily. We're supposed to do it on a weekly matter, Erev Shabbat. Every Rosh Chodesh, we're supposed to do it on Rosh Chodesh. And of course, Yom Kippur, we do it every year. But the idea is that this is an ongoing process. Tshuva is not a one-time event. The entire work we have to do as a Jew is not easy work. You're constantly on guard for your thoughts, for your words, for your actions, every single moment of the day. And you have to keep working on nullifying yourself to God. You have to work on yourself over and over and over again. It's kind of like the idea of, if you stop exercising and going to the gym, you're going to get out of shape. If you stop doing tshuva and stop having what we call Kabbalah's all and re-engaging in your commitment to God, you're going to get out of spiritual shape. It's not something you do once a year, like, oh, it's Yom Kippur's coming, I gotta do tshuva now. You have to constantly work on this, and by doing so, you can get into a state of flow where you continuously elevate yourself in a continuously and perpetual life work of getting closer to Hashem and living a more fulfilled life. And from the Torah comes out in a revealed way the goodness that is revealed in the world. This is not the case when we see by the oral Torah, which gave place for the rabbis to institute these fasts based on us needing to repair something from sins in this world. That even though these days instituted by the rabbis are days that we need to do tshuva for and are from a revealed standpoint not good days, it will be revealed when Mashiach comes, as we said already, that they will be transformed to days of great joy and happiness, because the inner dimension is only good. And according to this, we see how Shabbat pushes off the fast days. And since it's connected to the Torah, Shabbat, and Torah is a level of revealed good from above, connected to the number 7, that Shabbat is a day of pleasure. And therefore, there's no place for fasting on a day that you're supposed to be enjoying the pleasures of this world that God gave us. But we see that since the fast day on the 17th of Tammuz fell out on Shabbat, the innermost dimension of the fast day we said already is good. Therefore, we must remove the fast day and replace it with additional eating and drinking and joy. And it must be a day of great joy. Because it is a foretaste and a preparation that in the future to come, all the fast days will be totally nullified and transformed to days of great joy and happiness. Zion. Zabion, like a lion in Zion. In addition to this, we see that on the 17th of Tammuz, that falls on the Shabbat, and this is the Shabbat preceding that, who to meet Yom Esser b'Chodesh Tammuz. Yesh l'mar derek ha'remez me'inin ha'shvi'i ve'esrei chibur ha'tay v'gil v'tay v'na'alim. The 17 combines the level of good that's revealed with the number 7 and the good that's concealed in the number 10. Namshachas ha'baracha v'nitein as koach l'shavas ha'ba l'pual es ha'dibur b'beis ha'malas v'shavas Esser. Excuse me. Pardon me. Lost my place. Yeah, I said it. Okay. And this is drawing down the power on Shabbat in actuality to unify both of these advantages of the number 7 and the number 10. Gilui hatov the Shabbos, v'gilui hatov penimis ha-Shabbos v'Esser. Toiv v'Tammuz, the 17th of Tammuz, revealing, as we said before, the revealed good and the concealed good. V'yesh ha'kasher zem gam im koach. We saw on the 17th of Tammuz was the day that the luchos were smashed. That even though these the luchos, the tablets that God gave Moshe. When he broke them, that obviously wasn't a very good thing. But nevertheless, what did God say? Yeshua, thanks, because the inner dimension of that action was actually good. Because that brought to the inner power within us, which brought in the advantage of tshuva. And this is just an interesting point to discuss for a moment, because often in life we have a breaking of the luchos, just like Moshe smashed the tablets. Sometimes God smashes our tablets. Sometimes he has I'll just give you a simple example on a physical plane, not so much a holy matter, but just in my office a few weeks ago, we are experienced tremendous challenges, to put in a slight way, and it resulted in a huge financial loss, very, very large financial loss, and it threw me into a total tailspin because it came out of nowhere. And I knew something was wrong. I'm looking at our finances, and we lost a whole bunch of money from the previous month, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I started digging, and I started uncovering all kinds of issues that I didn't know so much were there. And it forced me over the last several weeks to kind of revamp a lot of systems in our office, change a lot of things, change out of employees, change out of processes or procedures, and put a lot of time and effort into it. It doesn't bring me my money back, but what it did is it caused a breakage that I was so frustrated that I saw how much money we lost, that it caused me to have to go around the office and dig deeper into what was going on in certain systems and update, if you will, the way we do things. That's just an example on a physical plane, but this happens to all of us all the time in our avodas Hashem. It happens sometimes we get into a big fight with our wives or with our families or whatever the case may be. And sometimes you have to have a breakage. Sometimes God has to shatter your vessel. And the reason for that is that in a perfect world, we're in complete tune with God, and we're moving step by step, going higher and higher and higher. But if we're not doing tshuva daily, we're not working on ourselves daily, and things are starting to slip in a spiritual way, and we don't realize it, and we think everything's fine until God comes along and gives us a break, and that causes people to wake up. And that awakening, if you will, is a result of the breaking, and that causes tshuva, and that helps us reach a higher state of where we were before. So that's the idea with the breaking of these luchos, with these tablets, for God said thank you. Because even though it was on the surface not a very good thing that God gave these beautiful luchot, these beautiful tablets to Moshe, and he smashed them on the floor, what really was happening is God was opening up the channels for what we call as tshuva. That no matter, tshuva is one of the things that the Gemara lists several matters that were created before the earth, before the world. Tshuva was one of them. Tshuva is above the Torah. In other words, no matter what, and that's the beautiful thing that's baked into our connection to God, is that at any point in time, no matter where we are holding, in whatever capacity, no matter, God forbid, how far someone may fall, you can always return back to God. He's always standing there with open arms, ready to accept us. And that's the idea of that no matter what breaks in our life, in whatever capacity, it's not the end of it. It's actually the beginning of a new light, if you will, and a new opportunity to reach higher levels. And we're in the Shabbat now before the 17th of Tammuz. And this begins the 40-day period that Moshe went up to Har Sinai. Before he received the luchos. And the advantage of the first set of tablets were that they were really for the righteous people, the tzaddikim. But then, of course, there's an advantage of the second set, which are connected to Bali Tshuva and the opportunity to do Tshuva in this world and reach a higher state. Ches. And we also see a connection to the Parsha of the week, which is Parsha's Chukat. Hatam Lekach. This is the law of the Torah. Al mitzvah paraduma. It talks about the paraduma, the red cow. Bavor Chassidus. Chassidus explains. Shekivan shemitzvahs paraduma klam mishnei ninim deratzu v'shoiv. The idea of the paraduma is this concept of what we call ratzo and shov, which is going and returning. Shepei sharifas hapara ratzoi, that the burning of the cow is a ratzo, a desire to get closer to God. Mitei mayim chayim al keli, and the purifying waters is shuv, is returning. And these connected two general matters of the Torah of Ratzo V'Shov are going and returning. Atshuka Ratze Bahava Karash B'Eish the Bnei Yisrael Yisados L'Haklal B'Kus. One is a burning desire and love and fire that every Jew has in our heart to connect to God. And the second is an awe of God that causes us to return, so to speak, and realize that we're here for a mission, and that's to build a dwelling place for God. Yet it's not about our own flights of fancy, that we should have a desire just to want to do what we want to connect to God in our terms, but on the contrary, to connect to God in His terms as we are down here and the purpose of why we're here in this world. And this Ratzo and Shov are connected again to the number 7 and the number 10, which we've been speaking about all evening. The Ratzo is connected to the service of desire, of a burning love, to connect to God from above the world. To the point that our souls want to expire, like the sons of Aaron, and leave our bodies. And this concept of shov, a return, is connected to bringing that divine energy back into this physical world and entering it into the vessels of the world in our lives. Specifically as we find ourselves souls in bodies in this physical world. And of course, the ultimate goal is to rectify, to unify, these two things together. Ratzo v'shoiv, the going and returning, the 10 and the 7. That to unify these two energies with the desire to go and expire, it's necessary we do our service like from the soul in the body. That we have to have a burning desire to connect to God, but at the same time we have to do so in the way He wants us to do so, by our work down here in this physical world. The Hashuv Gofa Tzarich Liyos Mudgash Al Karchach Atachai, and it says that against your will you are born. Kevan Shiyosod Nisham of Guf Ninsahim Baratzo Tamid Lamaila, that you may not have wanted to do this, but you signed up for it, you agreed to it, and therefore we have to realize that this is God's world. We're living under His rules and His playbook, and we're here to win as a team with Him. And therefore we must do what is incumbent upon us. Test. Al Pihanal Yuvan Gam Hashachos Im Hagago Uda Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz from Bovaroch V'Ol B'Toch Hagimel Yemim Barishona Shabbat Zeh Eser B'Tammuz. And according to this, we also can see the connection to the Hag of Geula Yud Beis and Yud Gimel Tammuz. Hakoach L'Paul Asegiloi Desheva Ave Eser Ba'Olam Bo Mizah Sha'Oisim Zois Koidem HaTorah. Kivan Shekadusha Barachu Histacha B'Reisa B'Ra'Olma Ba'ar. We know that the power to reveal God in this world comes from the Torah and comes from the fact that God created the world through the Torah. As we said above, Shabbat Torah Yishna Shtei Dargos, that there's two general levels of the Torah, Torah Shabbat Kasuv, Torah Shabbat Peh, the oral Torah and the written Torah, Torah Shabbat Kasuv Nitan, the Malay Maila, the written Torah that was given from above, Velochein, the Rumas, Gambi Gilui, Vihi, Nitenas Akwach, Ikari Gui, Esatoy, Gilui, Hashlemas, Abir, Matzad, Maila. This is the number 7, that is the good that descends from above in a complete way of goodness. And then we have the oral Torah that is enclosed through the service of us below. And that is up to us to reveal the concealed or hidden good that is manifest in this world through our service and our deeds here below in the physical world. The Pratius Yoiser more specifically. This is the difference between the revealed part of the Torah and the inner dimension of the Torah. Gufa Daraisa and Neshama Daraisa, the soul of the Torah and the body of the Torah. Nigla Torah Megala Ikore Esa Halacha, that the revealed part of the Torah is connected to the halacha, that we need to know halacha, so we need to know how to conduct ourselves in the world, how to live as Jews. And this is connected to the body of the world and the body of the Jew. That's the idea of halacha, how we use our physical bodies on a day-to-day basis. And this but the inner dimension of the Torah, the Kabbalah and the Chassidus, this is the service of our soul. And this is the soul connects with our soul and the soul of the world. In other words, it's impossible. That's why you see people who do not learn Panemius Torah, who just learn Nigla and Halacha. There's people, you could sit them in yeshivas around the world, and they learn Torah all day long. And there's no God present in their life because they're not going deep inside of the Torah. So in other words, they're working on their bodies and not their souls. So the idea is, of course, to have both, that we have to learn the innermost dimensions of the Torah, the secrets of the Torah. And by the Rebbe, in fact, says the reason we're in the Gullus is the Torah's in the Gullus, because we're not going deeper inside of it. We have to keep going deeper into these teachings, deeper and deeper and deeper. The deeper you go in the Torah, the Panemius part of the Torah, the Kabbalah and Chassidus, the deepest part of your soul is being revealed, the part that's connected to God. And that's why by learning these deep dimensions, we come to a state of oneness with Hashem that cannot be done without Panemius Torah. It's impossible. Move on from this. We got another strange called the Golus HaTorah. Excuse me. That the revealing of the goodness in the world is mainly through the revealing of God through the Torah. That's how we reveal the inner dimension of everything, through the inner dimension of the Torah, Kabbalah and Chassidus. And through this, we're able to connect and comprehend the inner dimension and the soul of everything in the world, right? That's how you see there's many people in Israel who have tremendously deep powers from learning so much Kabbalah and so much Chassidus and having the presence of God so powerful in Israel, that you see through, you become like Superman. You see through deeper and deeper into a person, into a situation. You're beyond the surface level of reality. I just lost my place again. And then you reveal the concealed good. Through the inner dimension of the Torah, as we said, that concealed good. Things that may appear to be the opposite of good. When you go into the depths of the Torah, you see the good dimension in everything. And we see that and the oral Torah is connected, of course, to also the Hasidus and Kabbalah. And through the revealing of our work down here below, the Rebbe says, and he said numerous times, that the most important aspect of the Torah to be learning now, to prepare for Mashiach, is the Panemius Torah. In fact, when Mashiach comes, it says the entire Jewish people will automatically know all the halacha, all the revealed things. It will be completely revealed. Every Jew will know how to shecht. Every Jew will have all the knowledge of all the details of all halachic aspects because it's something inside of us. It's there. We just have to reveal it. And when Mashiach comes, it will be revealed. But the connection to God, who is infinite, that will be the life, eternity work of going deeper and deeper into the Torah, which is why it's so important now to learn the inner dimension of the Torah, the Kabbalah, and the Chassidus, as a preparation for Mashiach. That through learning the secrets of the Torah, that can only be done through us. God can't reveal that to us. That's our work. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important to reveal the innermost dimension of the Torah. And as the Rebbe said already, this is one of the ways to prepare for Mashiach, especially that we are the last generation of the exile and the first generation of the redemption. And therefore, it says right here, the mitzvah, the galus zois hachma, Zman Harizal. The Arizal says there was a time where it was forbidden for Jews to learn the inner dimension of the Torah. But the Arizal says now, in our generation, this was written a few hundred years ago, it's a mitzvah to reveal the inner part of the Torah, the secrets of the Torah. And after the Arizal, we had the not just learning the innermost dimension of the Torah, but spreading its teachings throughout the world. And that's what the Baal Shem Tov brought to the scene. And after that, we have Yidlabshus B'Chachma Bina V'Das, in clothing these deep secrets in a way of our intellect that we can understand them through the Torah of Chassidus Chabad, the Admor Hazakin, starting with the Alter Rebbe. And all the Rebbes that preceded our Rebbe and came after the Alter Rebbe, up into our Rebbe. But called Dor Vador in every generation, so it is a Torah. In every generation, it is incumbent upon us to dig deeper and deeper into the Torah and keep revealing inner and more dimensions and the layers of the secrets of the Torah. The Chorah similarly of Sha'al Sha'al, a question arises. Kivan Shemador the door, Metoisef Beridas Hadoras. That since in every single generation we're adding on to what appears to be a descent in the generation, we're getting spiritually lower, if you will. Im Rishonim b'nei Malachim, Anu b'nei Anashim, V'im Rasha Oinim b'nei Anashim, Anu v'chulu. L'achas kama v'kanu d'ros ha'achronim. The equal the Mashiach, how much more so in our generation, where we are the heels of Mashiach. Kitzad yitachan shedavka az nizgala v'chava. The Rebbe said that since we're in such a spiritual low, and our generation is nothing compared to the previous generations, how can you say that it is incumbent upon our generation more than any other generation to reveal the innermost dimensions of the Torah that were never revealed before? So one of the explanations is as follows. Specifically through our service below of revealing all secret or concealed matters. As we said above, through our service below of using our Chokmah, Bina, and Das, we're able to draw down a godly energy that was never in existence in this world, as we said earlier. The Eila Torah's parents, and this is bringing forth the energy of redemption, which are above the energy that God used to create the world. That's the 10 over the 7, if you will. Move on from this, we can understand specifically our service in the darkness of the exile, and especially in the latter generation. The inner dimension of the Torah has been revealed. And the Rebbe says, and that's why. In other words, the lower we go and the deeper we go into spiritual darkness, more power is imbued in the inner dimensions of the Torah. So the lower you go, the higher you get to be. So as we're going darker and darker and darker, the inner dimension of the light is pure and pure and pure. And therefore, it's incumbent upon us to keep digging deeper into the Torah. Yud. And according to this, we can see the connection between the 17th of Tammuz to the festival of redemption, Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz. Yadua, she'ai de'ha'ama sarah milgiwala de Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz, shenetoise b'chafutza samusa chutza, that through the redemption of the Frierdiker Rebbe on the 12th and 13th of Tammuz, that brought about an increase in his spreading out the dimensions of the Torah outwards. Excuse me. Ad shezeh habiyad yatzias ba'al ha'geula mebedina ha'i ya'achri hashtalshelus ba'al chatzi kador ha'tachtoi. And it further brought the Frierdiker Rebbe down to the lowest aspect of creation, this physical world's aspect known as America. And that's where he really began his next level work in spreading out the teachings of the innermost dimension of the Torah. And his activities were much greater than ever existed previous before in every generation. Until it reached the furthest corners of the globe. To the furthest degree where it's spread out to the furthest aspects of the world. And the revealing of the innermost dimension of the Torah in a way that's drawn down throughout the countless generations of students and students of the Frierdiker Rebbe, because Hanasi who are called the leaders connected to all those in the generation. And through the power of the leader of the generation, every one of us gets our power to do our work. The door zeh uprat oire hatamid asher zeh zaycha the roisoi ve'enim basar be'panim al panim. And in this generation, specifically the offspring and students of the Frierdiker Rebbe, who had the schus to see him eye to eye, face to face. Rias panei tzaddik v'nishi v'nasi hador b'pa'al haruni. That to see the face of a tzaddik, how much more so the leader of the generation. How much more so are these people obligated to spread out the innermost dimensions of the Torah? There was a rabbi in Sfat, Ir Kodesh, who passed away several years ago. I was quite friendly with him when I lived in Sfat. He was an elderly man. And every time everyone used to see him, they used to walk up and just stop and just look at him and just stare in his face, and he would stare in our faces, because he had the schus of seeing face to face three Rebbes. Our Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe Rashab. It says when a chassid has seen a Rebbe face to face, it's a whole different dimension. Anyhow, and these activities must increase from year to year, especially in these most recent years. Madifisin ha'ela riboy gadol ma'amrim chassid she'az hatabach chesiv yad b'gilui rakni hudisagula. In previous generations, there were only certain Jews had a merit to hear chassidus from the Rebbes. Aram she'eninim shayu arata gedanizim ekulam, and many secrets still existed up until now. The daf gakshav madafisim oidis v'hem misparsim, and only now there's been so many deep secrets of the Torah that like Ayin Beis, which is one of my greatest spiritual accomplishments in learning Torah, finishing the Hemshech Ayin Beis, 144 Maimarim from the Rebbe Rashab. Those Maimarim were never revealed up into our Rebbe. They were handwritten manuscripts that only a few select Hasidim had access to. And for years and years and years, Hasidim begged the previous Rebbe, and our Rebbe, to take these handwritten manuscripts and to put them into a book form so everyone else could enjoy them. And our Rebbe actually said that I refuse to take responsibility for bringing such a high light, such a lofty level of Torah, of Chassidus into the world. And the Rebbe actually made all the Chassidim at the time agree to be his partner in bringing Ayin Beis into the world because it was too lofty of a teachings to bring down. And he required every Chassid to give $1. Somewhere like when in the times of the Mishkan, when everyone had to give Chetzi a shekel. So no less and no more. And all the Chassidim put together and signed a Hagdama that they agreed to take responsibility along with the Rebbe. And only then did the Rebbe agree to print Ayin Beis. That's just, it's a big example because that's one of the, if not the loftiest teachings ever revealed in this world. But the idea is there's several manuscripts that were never revealed or never released. Only now in our times, the deepest secrets of the Torah have been released, including what we're learning now. And off the base, where the Rebbe brings down many chidushim, many unique things that were never brought down previously in the Torah. And through revealing the inner dimension of the Torah, the Kabbalah and Chassidus, this gives the power, the Rebbe says, to reveal in the world matters that are above the world. Can't explain the depths of the secrets that are hidden within the inner dimensions of the Torah. And then when you learn Hasidut, it not only changes your godly energy, it literally changes your animalistic energy. It makes your animal aspect of your brain, which is known as the nefesh haseklis. Most people are not aware of that, by the way. You have an animal soul, which is basically your emotional attributes, but then you have an additional aspect of the animal soul. The Alter Rebbe brings down in the Tanya called a nefesh haseklis, which is the intellectual aspect of the animal soul. And the intellectual aspect of the animal soul is actually transformed from learning Chassidus. You can't transform that from any other means, only from learning Chassidut. Yeah. I lost my place again. Oh, never mind. There it is. And the Rebbe said, and specifically from learning Chabad Chassidus. And that's the key. And especially in our generation, the that we have a unique power to reveal and bring godly energy into us in the world that didn't exist before. And the entire world is a fitting dwelling place for Hashem now. That the existence of the world is now ready and fitting to reveal the atzmos of Hashem, the very essence of God in this physical world. Only in our generation. This never existed before. And how much more does this apply in our year, this year? That the festival of redemption that is blessed, or blessed as the 17th of Tammuz, Parshas Hukas and Parshas Hukas Muruma the Achibor Shnei Ninim Deshvi Be'esre Elokus Odam Elokus Lamarma Oidam. Godly energy in the world and above the world, as we pointed out. That all of these matters are a preparation for the true and complete redemption. Then we will have the completion of 10 and 7 of 17, the godly energy that's in this world and the godly energy that's above the world. As we just said, you bring them together. Yoralf. And all the matters are necessary on increasing in our learning, and specifically in all the details in our service of God. Halachas kama v'kama b'kaviyos al pi Torah chibur the yom hashvua v'yom hachodesh. Perpat b'yom zeh yom hashvi'i v'shvua v'yom eser b'chodesh. So what are the teachings we can learn out from this number 17 that we've been talking about? Every single day, a Yid must conduct our divine service in such a way of Aleph, Avoda Yimei HaShavua, connected to the day of the week, to reveal God in the natural way of the world, for the day of the week that we find ourselves. Avoda Yimei HaChodesh, and connected also to the day of the month, to reveal godly energy that's above the creation, in the creation itself. And every Jew must conduct themselves in this way on a daily basis. How? We start the day by saying Modeh ani Lefanecha. And what are we giving thanks to God for? Two matters. One, that God returns my soul into me. Every single morning that God conducts the world in a course of what we say nature, and he returns my soul back into my physical body. And that's how we work in the natural course of the world. Secondarily, we have Rabba Amunasecha, and your faithfulness is great. And this is connected to revealing God above the normal course of the nature. And every Jew must arouse himself to this type of service. Mida connected Mida. God responds to us the way we respond to him. When we go out of our comfort zone and do additional work for God, God returns and pays us in kind. Rabba means in abundance, that we should, in other words, you got to do your divine service every day. You got to do your basics. You got to learn Torah. You got to do mitzvahs. You got to put on tefillin. You got to say chitas. That's normal. But the second your life becomes rote, and that's all you do, you're not growing. The Rebbe says every day when we say Modeh Ani, we have to prepare ourselves for that normal service. But we have to find chidushim. We have to find unique opportunities to reveal God that didn't exist before in our life. Going out of your comfort zone every day, the Rebbe says. And then what happens is God will respond to you in kind and start bringing you blessings above his, so to speak, comfort zone, above the nature. People, it's like like Einstein says, what is the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. And people do that with their Yiddishkeit all the time. Nothing changes, and they're wondering why God's not doing anything special for them. Nothing's changed in my life. Well, are you doing anything to change your life? Or are you waiting for a miracle to happen above to change your life for you? Right? It's like playing the lottery. Like, you could wait on miracles. There's nothing wrong with playing the lottery. Fine. But if that's how you're planning on making your money in this world, well, you're in for a pretty rude awakening, because the odds of that happening are tens of millions to one, hundreds, whatever it is. So we have to conduct our life in the normal course and in a miraculous way. And then this divine service continues throughout the morning blessings. First, we start off with the blessings of the way that God conducts the world, and that he separates between day and night, opens our eyes, went through a stream, and he releases the bound. And then we have the blessings of the Torah. The Torah preceded the world. And then the Jew sets out into the world to purify our bodies and our portions of the world. He's gavolo, he's the teva olam, and this is connected to our work in the natural world. Avoda digluit haneshama, and we must reveal these things. And we must reveal also above the world. Move on, bapashtus, in a simple state of saying it. Even a young child knows that he has a soul and a body. And he must give life to his body by eating and drinking. And must conduct himself according to the ways of the world, right? You got to sleep, you got to eat, you got to take care of your goof. But our souls, nishmasa, mistaros mitzaratzmai, abo medgishmu mivan sheyesh bo kwach hagufni, smecha ois. Ele miven gam shugufa b'chayis davar gashmi. Ois hu, roi bigodoya be'inat, megobal b'mira chasidus. Drosh mida misyoimim all shel machol mashke b'chtei shchaya, masha ein kenesham. Okay. So again, through our bodies, we eat, we drink, we conduct ourselves in the natural course of the world. That's not the case with the soul. Sheil Ruchnis, which is a spiritual entity. Ein lo hagbar hagashmi, it's not connected to physical matters at all. And from this we can understand Shabbat Shvasa in Gufo, Shaguf avoid as HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kashur im hagbalav hagufa oidem, ba'avora yish oisef neshmasin lulo begavali. So we have to take care of our souls also. And just like everything else in the world, the soul has an inner dimension and an outer dimension. And a child also understands this. Just not that there's matters connected to the innermost dimension of the soul, but devarim and matters connected to the outer part of the soul. And both of these services of our soul, the outer dimension of our soul is when we conduct things in the normal, natural course of our lives. But then we have to go in the inner part of the soul. And how do we do that? We have to, again, go above the nature. We have to access that inner aspect, the inner aspect of our soul, the fifth levels of our soul, connected to Chokhmah and Keter, the worlds of Etzilus and Adam Kadmon. If you're not tapping into that energy, then you're living a rote existence, even as a from Jew. And through the service of a Yid by fulfilling Torah and mitzvahs, as we said earlier, there's the soul of the Torah and there's the body of the Torah. The body of the Torah is connected to nature and the soul of the Torah above the nature. And the special power that arises from learning the inner dimension of the Torah, the soul of the Torah and the soul of the soul of the Torah, the inner dimension of the soul. Kavanas and mitzvahs, kiyoim and mitzvahs, ba'ifan, nois, the feeling, mishvahai, the din. Okay. Because nini me'edo shnei lehalim b'hanal, b'kol yom ve'yom tzrichim liho shnei ninim avot. Every single day we must conduct ourselves according to these two dimensions, the inner dimension and the outer dimension. And we must infuse and combine both together. The soul work and the body work. The learning the inner part of the Torah and learning the outer part of the Torah. You have the mitzvah itself and you have the intention of the mitzvah. And of course, the goal is to unite both of these things together. Yud base. And as it comes to actual deed, because as the Rebbe always says, the main thing is doing. And as we stand very close to the festival of the 12th and 13th of Tammuz, we must increase in spreading out the well springs of the Torah. We must increase in our shirim, in our classes of learning Torah. And add on every day. Increase in the Nigla Torah and the Panimisa Torah. Especially through learning Chassidus. There is to say, a perush, a pashut, And even when you learn the Nigla Torah, you should be learning it in the way of revealing the inner part of it. If you're done it, it's a fascinating thing when you take like a halacha and you start looking at it from Kabbalah and Chassidut and understanding the innermost dimension of that idea, right? Of the inner part of the Torah. It's a quite fascinating exercise. And especially by learning and increasing the teachings and spreadings of the teachings of Rabbeim of Chabad Chassidus. Also, we have to start doing our mitzvahs in the most strict way possible. This emphasizes mitzvahs. First of all, the intention of the mitzvah should increase and be more intense, if you will. Including the actual keeping of the mitzvahs. And the intention should be in a complete way. And also they should be done according to halacha, the proper way. And generally and specifically, mitzvah tzedakah, the mitzvah of tzedakah, of charity. What do they call it? Tithing? Tithe is what they're going to call it. Gam b'tzedakah lo noiga b'kamara anotein. Hare yoda shehamitzvah hi b'shleimus yisura kasher oisim oisaz sabara penim yafot. That just to give tzedakah is a mitzvah, no matter how you do it. But when you do it with a happy face and you do it in a way of caring for the person, the intention adds on to the benefit of the mitzvah. For the Haisif, in addition to this, tinas and tzedakah before yicharim hoisba neshama mitzvah. Okay. There's also tzedakah through speech. Say a good word to another person. The davar toiv ahazoidas, and do something good for another person. But tzedakah ma'makshava makshava toiva ahazoidas. And you could also have, so you can have tzedakah by saying a good word. You have tzedakah from doing a good deed for the person, and tzedakah from thinking good about the person. Right? Someone comes up to you, for example, and ask you for tzedakah. You don't have any money to give them, whatever you don't have with you, you don't have, period, whatever the case may be. You say, I don't have any money. You say, I'm sorry, I don't have anything, but let me give you a bracha. Right? That's tzedakah. You're giving kindness. Because the and there's also tzedakah by influencing another with love. And wishing the other person well for things that they do. Yud Gimel, the final letter of the evening, as we wrap up for an early landing. The Kasherim Hag Gula and connection to the Hag of Gula, the redemption. The says Games as a preparation that we should increase in having for our bringings. That every single place we should be celebrating the Hag Geula, the Shabbat that is blessing the Hag Geula, which I will be celebrating in Guatemala. The Yud Beis Tammuz, on the 12th of Tammuz also for bringings, and on the 13th of Tammuz for bringings. Ashnei Yamim, Azgam Yamim Shla'ach Zeb Prat B'Yom HaShabbat, and of course on the day of Shabbat. Idvadur Kama V'Kam Yisrael Mitchasfim Yechat, and a farbringing is when you bring many Jewish people together. The Ish Esre'ehu Israel the Echa Yomech Chazak, that we should strengthen one of another. And Kabbalah Hatlatus Tavis, and take good resolutions upon ourselves. And add on in unity Torah mitzvahs and increase in our Torah and mitzvot, and specifically the mitzvah of spreading out the well springs of Chassidus. God's will. Then immediately before the festival of redemption. How much more so before the 17th of Tammuz? We should already be in the redemption. In the beginning of these narrow days, these 3 weeks that they're called. They should already be transformed to days of great joy and happiness. And the true and complete redemption through our righteous Redeemer. Pashtus, Boyan HaMashiach is Pashtus the Mashiach. And we should have the full revelation of Mashiach. Melech Mebeit David, Tenua B'Torah V'Oisek B'Mitzvahs K'neged Ava. And a king will arise from the house of David and fulfill in the mitzvahs, just like his father, David. Yikaf all Yisrael, and he will strengthen all the Jewish people. And he will fight the wars of God. And he will be successful. And he will build the base of Mikdash in his place. And he will gather the Jewish people together. As the Rambam says, and I will show you wonders like I took you out of Egypt, and the boundaries of our limitations that we're living. Who Mashiach Ma Metoisa Acharoi Ishnavi Oi Rabbois Mofsi Rabbois Baloshan Torah Beperish Oisa Veyoisar Ad Bli Gvu Ad Techel Go the Mitzvah Shlema. Because you made Sekom Mitzrayim. And I will take you out of, just like when I took you out of Egypt, I will show you wonders. I will show you wonders in quantity and quality. And the dead will arise from the dust. And the Baal HaGeula, the Frierdiker Rebbe, will be at their head, including together all the Jewish people, healthy souls and healthy bodies. Our sons and our daughters and our old and our young. And we will travel on the clouds of glory, the Eretz HaKodesh to the holy land of Israel, Yerushalayim Eretz HaKodesh to the holy city of Jerusalem, Har HaKodesh to the holy mountain, the base of Mikdash Shlishi, Mikdash Adonai K'no Yedecha, the third temple that God will establish with his own hands. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu V'Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach L'Moed. May Hashem bless you and bless all of us to have true redemption in every capacity, the full His Gadlus and Melech HaMashiach, and we should be bringing in the base of Mikdash immediately. God bless you. Moshiach now.